And you were just talking about, the demand for, good foremen and operators in construction right now, and
Yeah.
just how companies are facing the possibility of other companies coming in and poaching their talent. And so that's increasing wages. I mean,
Yeah.
which is good.
Yeah, it
I mean,
is.
that's what we all want at the end of the day. And
Well,
so,
it is good and it's not good. When it happens, if you got outstanding bids that you bid at a certain labor
well,
rate, and then you
sure.
gotta up your game, and then you've got to. The only one way to make that money up is in production.
Absolutely. Yes. Today.
Right.
But if that lifts the market,
Right.
then everyone can benefit
Right.
from it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that's good.
Yeah.
And so it got me thinking, all right, I'm a foreman. All right, let me take a step back. I'm a foreman and I'm not necessarily new in construction, obviously, or I shouldn't be a foreman, but I'm new in that position. And maybe I didn't have or spend as much time in the field as some other guys. What could I do to increase my performance, be a better foreman, do a better job for my crew or crews, and potentially earn more money?
Well, I mean, it's as long as you're doing your work and meeting production or getting more production than what's required, and as long as you're doing it in a safe way, in a way that is, not going to come back to bite you. You don't want to mess up something today and kind of skim over it and then come back and fix it later on. You
Sure.
never want to do your work twice.
Right.
But
Or safety.
right,
I mean,
safety.
you
Yeah,
never want,
you don't want to jeopardize anybody's life.
Absolutely.
First and foremost.
sure.
But my thing is, if you've got a good crew and you've been working together for a while, your foremans should be able to see potential prospects that they have on their crew. To me, a good foreman is someone that is going to involve other crew members and kind of train them. And like what I like to do, I like to move people up. I don't want to hire people from another company or hire people, off the street.
Mm-hmm.
I like to see, when we need them, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I like to see our guys, get trained in the field and move up, into one company. The company I work for right now in particular, most of the guys have been there 10 plus years.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And, because, we pay good wages and we give them opportunities to grow.
Sure.
As long as they're willing to learn and pay attention and show that they can show up every day and take the learning that they're getting and use it to progress their level in that particular field, then they could potentially come up, to be a foreman or a superintendent, go
Sky's
through
the
the
limit.
ranks, right? Sky's the limits.
Yeah.
And of course, every time you move up, that's an increase in pay.
Do foremen ever feel threatened by that? Like, I mean,
yeah,
I guess it
sure.
depends on the scenario or situation they're in. But if I'm a foreman, do I ever maybe not want to teach the guys under me as much as I know, or this or that, with this fear that they may take my position? Or
Well,
is that
I mean,
not really?
if you're a good foreman and you're doing your job, then you shouldn't have any fear.
Shouldn't have fear, yeah.
Especially if you're working with a good, credible company, they're going to continue to keep you on. We want to build our company. We want to see it expand. So we're looking for future foremans. What better way than take a guy that's been with you 5 or 6 years, and then this foreman he's been working under has trained him up. And, he's got the grasp of what's going on. He knows how to shoot grade. He knows how to set up a laser. He knows how to, do whatever. He can operate.
Right. He can get in the ditch with a shovel.
Right.
faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He can do it all.
Yeah.
And so at that point, knows how to read a set of drawings.
Yeah.
All those things are key things. And if your foreman takes an incentive to teach these guys as they go up, then what better way to grow a company than keep it all in house?
Sure. Now,
But when you make that guy a foreman, he's got to have a crew under him.
Sure.
So at that point, you do generate other jobs, that's outside the field, or outside your company. So, now you're reaching out to people that is not associated with your company. You're taking applications, because you got to build this crew around this new foreman. And like what I like to do, I like to take, I may rob 1 or 2 guys from another crew or something and put on his crew to give him some stability to where,
Sure.
he's not dependent on outside help
Yeah.
that may not be as progressed as what he is or what he needs to have to support him.
That makes total sense. You can bring a couple of outside guys into a crew that's, been working together.
Right.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So then that foreman, I mean, I guess it's also, well, let me ask you this. I'm a foreman, and let's say I've been in the field for a number of years. I guess there's obviously an advantage to me, even if there are situations where I'm going to be running a piece of equipment or doing some of these other things. Just for one, just to stay fresh on your skill.
Right.
I mean, I know it's not something you lay down at night and just suddenly forget how to operate a piece of equipment, but there's more than just moving forward and backwards and picking the bucket up and down. I mean,
Well, and we our foremen, we like them to be what we call working foremen.
mm-hmm.
So, they're not just sitting in a truck looking at a set of blueprints, day in and day out. They're out with a crew.
Mm-hmm.
They may get on a piece of machinery, maybe excavator, wheel loader, dozer, whatever it may be, and they may get in a ditch and have to lay pipe.
Yeah.
They may, get out and shoot grade. It just depends on what needs to be done. And so we call them working foremen, but that's what they do. Is they're not just a foreman that runs a crew. They get out and participate, in day-to-day activities as well.
Yeah, and I bet, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if I had a list of all foremen in construction and their wages from East Coast to West Coast, those who are identified as a working foreman, I bet they can earn more money.
Well, yeah,
than someone who's
just
just
because
reading
they're going to
plans.
get more production and do it with less men.
Yeah,
Because he's taking up the gap of someone else that you got to fill that spot with. So
sure, I'd be paying someone to do it.
right,
Yeah, not to mention motivational.
right,
We've all had jobs at some point where the boss man, he's hanging out in the heated truck in the middle of winter, or the AC's blowing on him in the middle of summer, and it's
Right.
When he's actually out there with you, then it kind of motivates everyone too. It kind of sets the stage that
Right.
no one is better than anyone here. We're
Exactly.
here to do a job, and we're just going to get it done.
yeah.
Yeah,
And if you are that one particular foreman, and a lot of bigger construction companies have them, to where your job is to keep the job laid out, and that's all you do is focus on those drawings and keeping the job laid out, then you should have an operator or a lead man on site that is just as almost as equal as you are, to where he can keep that crew motivated, just like you're talking about.
Sure.
He's got to keep them going and pushing them. And most of the time, whatever the main piece of equipment is, that operator generally is the person we're talking about.
okay.
It's like if you're laying pipe, then that excavator operator, if he stops or it shuts down, then the whole crew shuts down.
The whole crew shuts in.
So,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
it's up to him to keep everybody motivated while your foreman is trying to look at day-to-day tasks and get everything lined out.
Yeah.
But, a good foreman can be a working foreman and still get day-to-day tasks laid out as well.
Sure. Well, that's fantastic.